For decades, many working-class Venezuelans have had to collect water from points like these, at the bottom of the mountains that surround the valley that is Caracas. The country's infrastructure has forever been underdeveloped. However, in recent weeks, the number of those queuing up to gather water has noticeably increased. Several electricity blackouts has meant that water plants haven't been pumping to homes across the capital. Rosbelis Nieves comes here once a week with her 2 children. Despite being economically secure, they wait for more than an hour with their buckets and containers.
I've been coming more often in recent weeks because there's no water. When we have water in our building, it's not drinkable. We use it for other things, but we can't drink it.
What's confounded the problem even more is that Caracas has witnessed an unusually dry period with no rain. Reservoirs like this have dried up. But the government says the main reasons for the water crisis are saboteurs and the US-imposed sanctions aimed at turning the people against President Nicolas Maduro.
They
want people to explode and turn against the government to justify a possible military intervention. The US government spokesperson has openly stated that the purpose of these sanctions is to make people suffer.
To offset this, and more importantly, seemingly to win people's hearts, the government is providing heavily subsidized goods and services to poorer Venezuelans. In a room on the second floor of one of the hundreds of thousands of buildings that sprawl the many favelas scattered across Venezuela, a group of pro-government activists sew school uniforms, children's clothes and other garments as part of an initiative set up under former President Hugo Chavez. Similar uniforms are sold in the shops for around $27. These are offered for a mere 30 cents. Their work orders have increased drastically since the US sanctions kicked in. These activists also run a control center where they receive requests for help from local residents and monitor things like water shortages.
We monitor and listen to people's needs. With the help of the government, we then provide for them.
It's not surprising that Giovanni is a loyal supporter of the government. Were it not for Hugo Chavez and his socialist revolution, he would never have been able to get a university degree, he tells me.
The American sanctions are not hurting the government. They are hurting our people. If America wanted to help the people, they wouldn't impose those sanctions.
For a country with the largest oil reserves in the world, you'd expect living standards here to be high. But the reality is that basic things like water aren't always available. Now, opponents of President Maduro put that down to mismanagement and corruption by a socialist government that's been in power for years. But there's no denying that US sanctions have played their part in devastating the Venezuelan economy and preventing the country from developing. Jamal, Elshayyal, Al Jazeera, Caracas.